Hey guys, I just wanted to do a little intro video to my theory, Cixous and Dictee. I don't know if that's how you pronounce either of those things. Um, I really enjoyed the theory this week. I think because I normally find theory very dry and big word, academic, boring, blah blah blah. And of course she was really embodying what she was talking about, the feminine writing, and I'm a highly feminine identified person. I also write in that style, so I found it really lovely. Um, but it was a lot to condense, so I did my best to pull out the themes that really resonated with me, and did as small paragraphs as I could with headers just to make it more organized, so hopefully it is coherent. I'm in bed today, sick, so yeah. I'm gonna quickly read a few lines that I thought were lovely, powerful imagery from the theory, from Laugh of the Medusa. I'm reading it from my laptop screen here. We, the precocious, we, the repressed of culture, our lovely mouths gagged with pollen, our wind knocked out of us, we, the labyrinths, the ladders, the trampled spaces, the bevies, we are black and we are beautiful. Here's another. And you'll see with what ease she will spring forth from that within, the within where once she so drowsily crouched, to overflow at the lips she will cover the foam. I think that's really great. And here's another one that I feel is very poetic. I am for you what you want me to be. At the moment you look at me in a way you've never seen me before. At every instant. She also mentions Joyce as an example of a man who can write in the more feminine style. And since we don't have Joyce assigned to us because he's a dude, of course, and this is feminist lit, I'm going to read just a paragraph or two from A Portrait of the Artist of a Young Man. I read this in Irish Lit with Jer Colleen. Great class, great book. It's about a young man named Stephen Dedalus who's on a religious path to become a reverend, but he's very conflicted. He has a lot of shame. He's been sleeping with prostitutes. He's all tore up inside. And this is a moment in the book where he goes on a nature walk to a stream, and he has a moment. He sees a young girl, and the image really strikes him. He feels overcome with a sense of innocence, and it's very healing for him. So I'm just going to read two quick paragraphs. She was alone and still, gazing out to sea, and when she felt his presence and the worship of his eyes, her eyes turned to him in quiet sufferance of his gaze, without shame or wantonness. Long, long she suffered his gaze, and then quietly withdrew her eyes from his, and bent them toward the stream, gently stirring the water with her foot, hither and thither. The first faint noise of gently moving water broke the silence, low and faint and whispering, faint as the bells of sleep, hither and thither, hither and thither, and a faint flame trembled on her cheek. Heavenly God! Cried Stephen's soul in an outburst of profane joy. He turned away from her suddenly and set off across the strand. His cheeks were aflame, his body was aglow, his limbs were trembling. On and on and on he strode, far out over the sands, singing wildly to the sea, crying to greet the advent of the life that had cried to him. So, not your typical male novel, clearly. The last thing I'm going to bring up, since Perrin asked us to tie this into maybe something modern in our modern culture, Cixous speaks a lot about feminine sexuality, taking your body back, experiencing pleasure on your own terms, how women's bodies have been divided up for the sake of men and their own pleasure and phallocentric ends. One quote she says, in patriarchal culture, men need to think that women are a hole fringed with desire for their penis. Which of course brings me to pornography. It's a $40 billion a year industry made by men and for men. But the sex-positive feminist movement says, hey, you know, women enjoy porn. Why can't porn be better and less male-centered? So I came across this website while looking for images that features a lot of women that are doing work in that field, trying to improve pornography for women and the industry itself. One of the quotes from the article states, "Women's pornography is a genre that is still in its infancy, but maybe girls wouldn't feel so weird and conflicted about their sexuality if there was porn made for them instead of just about them." I just briefly read that article about the erotic, which is now an interesting concept to think that pornography and the erotic are contradicting. So this is definitely probably a big topic to take on. But you know, what if pornography was not about that money shot or just one person's sensation, but what if it was genuinely two people sharing joy, sharing pleasure? How much hotter would that be? So anyway, it's just a casual blog post, and it's a few years old. There's a bunch of links. I don't know where they all go, if they're broken or not. Of course, use your discretion. You don't have to check it out if you don't want to. I would not recommend looking at it at work. So I'm going to wrap up with this one quote related to that from Laugh of the Medusa. "Decide for yourself on your position in the arena of contradictions, where pleasure and reality embrace." Alright, well, I look forward to our talk this week. It should be a good one. Okay.